Thomas Nyaku Ampim, who's MP for Asuogyaman. All these places are in the eastern region. So I'm sure listeners are wondering, okay, why are we interviewing MPs from the eastern region? Well, they've also been, or their constituents have been affected by the Volta Dam spillage. So we'll get their thoughts on the event, the aftermath, and relief efforts that are being centered on their constituents. Honorable members, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Welcome to the Citi Breakfast Show.
Good morning.
How are we doing?
Oh, we're doing well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let me start off with you, Honorable Crosby Mensah. You are MP for Afram Plains North.
Yes.
Can you just tell us some of the places in your constituency and how those places have been affected by the Akosombo Dam spillage?
Yes, thank you very much. A very big good morning to your listeners. Indeed, over the years, the Afram Plains North have always been faced with this kind of challenge, especially when the Akosombo Dam experiences an overflow.
Okay.
Unfortunately, with the spillage, it has really gotten out of hand. Most often, as you may already know, we have over 222 island communities.
222?
Yes, and so when that happens, the settlers are forced to move to higher grounds.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this time around, the damage and the flood is in such a way that it has made it, next to impossible to even move to higher grounds, because higher grounds have also been submerged. And so currently we have a situation of over 32 communities that have been flooded.
Okay.
These communities includes islands on the Dwarf Island and islands on the Duja Island, and even those close to the inland. When I talk about the inland, I'm talking about Amankwa Tonu, I'm talking about Agodeke, and then the islands, we have Chechepo, which is on the Duja stretch of the Volta Lake.
Okay.
We have Kedekope, where the chief's house and most of the have all been, in fact. And unfortunately for these communities, most of their buildings are made up of, this mud buildings. And so, unfortunately, this is not just water taking over their homes, but then
their homes have been washed away.
And so they have to make do with either settling in the classroom, which are obviously the only block buildings within the community. And some of them also have been left in the churches. So, that is the current situation of the people of Afram Plains.
Do you have an idea of how many people have been affected?
So far, in fact, initially when we did a rough count, we had almost about, these are small communities. Okay. So we're looking at about 185, but the list had gone up to about 200 and something plus.
I see. Okay. We have Thomas Nyaku Ampim, who's MP for Asuogyaman. Good morning once again.
Good morning.
What's the situation where you are? And can you just tell us some of the towns or villages that lie in your constituency?
Yes. Akosombo is in my constituency. Yes. And so my colleagues have been accusing me that I have caused all the troubles. So the spillage started from Akosombo.
Okay.
And so there are a number of communities very close to the dam that were the first to be affected. We have communities like Abume, Kokontepeji, Jijokope, and others. These are also mainly towns who are in my constituency, and because they are mainly fishermen, they love living close to the water.
So which means they're originally from the Volta region.
They moved
there to fish.
Yes, yes. They settled there. In fact, they have been there since. I mean, so they are natives of Asuogyaman. And so the greatest effect on my people are on those fishermen and the fish ponds that were in the water. In fact, the force of the water washed everything away. All those tilapia ponds and everything were washed away because of the strength of the water that was released. And the buildings close to the water, they are also made up of this mud houses. And so they were washed away. And it has affected livelihoods significantly.
I see.
In fact, so we are happy to be here, and we know what you have been doing. To be honest with you, I'm excited at what Citi is doing because your interventions seem well targeted.
Okay.
Before I came here, I had discussions with your boss who requested specifically, what do your people need? And so that is a little deviation from the norm that we have seen, that you'll be there, somebody will bring you something because they are touched and they want to help. But in your case, you have gone a step further to inquire what are the gaps. We know people have been bringing you stuff. What are the gaps? What do you need? And so if you look at the items that you are giving us, it is what the people are requesting at this point in time. And so we are grateful.
Thank you so much. Can you put a number to, for example, how many people have been affected? You mentioned ponds and all of that. Can you quantify how much damage has been done in terms of like money terms?
In fact, per the NADMO statistics that we have about 25 fish farms that were completely destroyed. Okay. We have a number of fishermen. In fact, per the statistics, we have over 100 fishermen who had their traps in the lake, but were all washed away. And so they are those calling for the nets and other things to get their traps again and put them in place. As for the houses, we were not as affected as you saw in Mepe. So we have under 100 buildings that collapsed. Okay. And the number of people that were displaced were a little over 300. Okay. And so we are thankful to God that our situation was not as serious as others. But it is also important that people like you are recognizing that there are other areas that were affected, even though the numbers will not be as huge as we see in other places. You are distributing your support in a way that everybody who has been affected is also benefiting. Yeah,
I'm just curious, just to stay on that. Akosombo is in Asuogyaman.
Yes.
That's where the spillage happened. So I'm just wondering, so were you on the wrong side of the waterway? Because when the spillways were opened, I'm sure the water must have traveled in a direction. So I'm just curious to know, how come you didn't experience as much damage as the other places?
Probably because we are quite on a higher ground.
Okay.
And so the extent of the damage was not as much as those who are on the lower lying areas, and maybe we are more prayerful.
Let me also understand something. I mean, it's been repeatedly suggested that the VRA carried out sensitization programs in an extensive way as to prepare people for the possibility of things like this. In your community, in your constituency, is it really the case that VRA people came there and carried out a sensitization program? If so, when? And were you prepared to leave the areas to be decimated before the floodwaters came?
That is a very good question. And the answer is yes and no, and a big no, because, yes, I'm told there was some simulation exercise in May, even way before VRA decided to do the spillage.
Okay.
And so they did some simulation exercise and then went to one of the communities and told them, okay, if in the event that the dam collapses, all of you in these areas will have to move away and all that. But when they decided to do the current spillage, VRA tells us that they sent communications to the district assemblies, to NADMO and all that. The question is, did they follow through to ensure that those who received those communications further disseminated the information to the affected people? I saw those communications on a platform, and I forwarded it to some of the platforms on which I am. We were expecting, you see, VRA has done spillages over the years. The people living in these areas are aware that if the VRA decides to spill, this is what they should expect. This time, the spillage went to a second level.
Okay.
If you knew you were going to do that extensive spillage, you should have let the people know that the spillage we are doing now is not the kinds that you are used to. Nothing of the sort was done. And you see, you talk to NADMO, you talk to the district assemblies, they are always complaining of funds, that they don't have money to carry on some of these activities. So, yes, VRA sent those written information through NADMO and the district assemblies. But we were expecting that before this exercise, there will be community engagements You don't just send a communique through WhatsApp, through whatever medium, and expect that everybody is aware of it. There are community information centers and others. You could have used those to further disseminate the information so everybody, or maybe some vans, could run through the communities, have announcements that this is going to happen at this time. This is what is to be expected. That way, you would say that people have been informed. But with what happened on the ground, no, the people were not adequately prepared for what happened to them.
Now, you know, when you visit countries like Israel, you go to even the US, UK, and many countries in Europe, they have warning systems that are used. Yeah, that's right. So, and some of these systems may even be sirens with somewhere a knob that someone presses somewhere, and it triggers in a whole township. Now, having now fully appreciated the potential impact that something happening to that dam could cause to people downstream, are you one of the people who would say that perhaps we should move to a point where we can have centralized warning system that would trigger, you know, communities in your constituency, in Afram Plains, and many communities downstream, that, hey, something is happening at that, because when that dam, knock on wood, breaks, you won't have the time to go and be telling people that, oh, move and all of that. I don't know what your comment will be.
In fact, that is the point. In fact, if you are going to spill, you would know when you are going to start spilling. At least you will have some time to go around and warn people. But in the event that the dam is collapsing, we are not praying for that, but it is possible. In that event, what do we do? That is what I don't know the details of the simulation exercise they did, because I was not invited. But the people living in these areas do not know anything. They don't know how they should behave in the event of such things. So it is a very important observation, and that is what we need to carry on, because what we have seen with this level of spillage is that there is the possibility that things can get out of hand. Okay. And if we don't take steps to prepare people, and we should have drills. I mean, if we have what you are talking about, we should have drills for people to practice it, so that when the real thing happens, they know how to act. Because otherwise, panicking and other things will let us lose a lot of lives, and it will cause a lot of damage.
So listening to the City Breakfast, I have in the studio Honorable Betty Nanefa Crosby-Mensah. She's Member of Parliament for Afram Plains North. And we also have Honorable Thomas Nyako Ampim, MP for Asuogyaman. Now, if Asuogyaman sounds familiar, well, that's where Akosombo is. So you can imagine they also got affected. Afram Plains North heavily affected. And so, like Honorable is saying, lots of people. So can you tell us, those who have been affected, have they moved? Have they found a place to settle, at least temporarily, while we figure out the way forward?
Yeah, because of the current situation, like I earlier stated, most often when we are faced with this kind, the people usually move to higher grounds. Okay. But unfortunately, this is not what we are experiencing now. So they are currently lodging in churches, in their schools. And in fact, yesterday I was in a conversation with one of my assembly members, and I said, okay, so if I happen to want to come visit, how do I? Because usually when I go to my island communities, my boat lands at a particular place. I walk for almost 30 minutes to get to the community. Wow. And here is a situation that all this way has been flooded. And the water level is not so deep that I can use a boat, which means that I'll have to walk through the water to even assess my people. So if I happen to want to come and support them with some logistics, how do I do that? And then the gentleman said, even where currently they are lodging, that is the school, still the water is around that area. But the hope is that because that is the only concrete building, if I must put it, that is the only concrete building available, and that is why they are currently in there. So it looks like unlike our brothers and sisters from the Volta region who have at least some support, these are people with barely no support at all. And so they're just depending on one another, moving from one island community to the other just to survive, and whilst they are waiting to hear something positive from the government. But let me put it on record. I also heard the VRA saying that most of the island communities within my constituency are illegal settlers, or they are illegal settlements. And I must say that these are communities that are identified by the Electoral Commission as electoral areas and as polling centers where voting takes place. And so if they are recognized and they are recorded as such, and when government or the Ghana Statistical Service is taking census, they approach them, they go to those areas to go and take data. It means that as a country, we recognize that there are some settlements in there or out there. However, currently VRA is saying that they are illegal, and so when it comes to even the communique that we're talking about, it didn't reach communities such as my community. So we didn't hear anything of such because we felt that we were not going to be affected. But unfortunately, this is the situation that the people of Afram Plains are faced with.
Now, in terms of the impact on the economy around your constituency, we do know that Afram Plains is one of the food baskets we have.
Absolutely.
What is the likely impact on food security? That's the first question. And then also, Honorable, you are from Asuogyaman. You said about 25 or so fish farms have been completely washed away. How, in your view, would that affect our fish economy? And in terms of putting protein on the dinner table, how do you see that playing out?
In fact, if you have been monitoring the prices of tilapia, you realize that they have already gone up.
They've gone up. Okay.
Because supply is a problem now. People have lost huge investments. In fact, I met some young guys who, about 4 of them, who had come together to do one cage because it's expensive. The feed for the tilapia is very, very costly. And they were hoping that this Christmas they were going to harvest and make a lot of money. And half of the tilapia had just gone. And they salvaged a little and they were turning them into more money. And they were frying some. They had about 30 women there preparing the fish. I have pictures of them preparing the fish, some frying, some turning some into more money. So we are going to have shortage. We have already started experiencing the shortage of tilapia. And so prices of tilapia have started going up. And so the effect is not even now. We are going to start feeling the effect going forward.
And Honorable.
Yeah, sincerely, I believe that the negative economic impact is going to be very heavy. Because, again, I have records of some watermelon farms that have been washed away. In fact, it's not just our homes that are being washed away, because majority of the settlers are into farming. Okay. They are farmers. And so we have most of these farms being affected. We currently have a cassava processing factory around the Afram Plains South. And I doubt if they will be able to meet even the supply, because most of these cassava farms which are around the Volta Lake have also been washed away. I think we have some pictures that we can show you when they need. You see that majority of the farms, especially around the Volta Lake, have been washed away. So yes, when it comes to food supply, I'm very convinced that it's going to affect us heavily.
Okay. Wow, the impact is huge. Samens has joined us.
I've always been around.
Joined us again. Samens, so we have our very good friends from the MP of Asuogyaman, Thomas Ampim, and Nyako Ampim, and Betty Crosby Mensah, MP for Afram Plains North. They've also been heavily affected by the dam spillage, and we are giving them a little support. We are trying to make things easy for them.
Yeah, so it no be easy. So for the Donkokrum area, which we have food, isn't that curious? Sending food to
a place where food is produced.
Very sad.
Yeah, so your truck has beans, maize, gari, sugar, canned fish, cereals, drinks, tomato paste, oil, water, coal pots, iron pots, that they send. That they send. They say it's not called iron pot. Cauldron, right? Cauldron. Sounds like cauldron. Banku dade and bankuta. Yeah, they need all, right?
Yes.
Charcoal, buckets, diapers, sanitary towels, sanitary pads, mosquito nets, mattresses, toilet rolls, paper towels, biscuits, some clothing, books, mat sets, erasers, bar soaps, liquid detergents, powders, disinfectant, pencils. So all going to Donko Chrome.
We are very grateful.
Wonderful.
So my understanding is that it's worth 50,000 Ghana cedis.
Great.
And then the Atimpoku area,
that's
Asuogyaman, you know, they have special need. You know, when we were in secondary school, special diet. All the other people were doing special diet. When we grew up, we realized that they were lying. So they, you know, because the fishing thing, they needed fishing nets.
Yes, okay.
So our MP brought some of the fisher folk here yesterday, and they went with us to Cowlin
to buy the nets.
So they have exactly what they need.
That's good.
If
they have special nets, it's very true.
Oh, it's very true. And it's, you know, the thing has taken away their livelihood. We keep talking about it. They should wake up in the morning and say to themselves that, look, our buildings have been submerged, but at least we have somewhere, there's hope, something to do. So we have that. We have maize, beans, sugar, oil, diapers, sanitary pads, buckets, charcoal, toilet rolls, drinks, tomato paste, mattresses, detergents, erasers, you know, everything included. So, but I need to add that it's not a dumping thing. We are not throwing things at them. We are seeing them through with the resources that we have. So you are not seeing the last of our intervention. That's the point I'm making. So this is just the beginning of what we are doing. And as time progresses, we'll see what else we can do based on the needs that emerge. So we are grateful for the opportunity to be of service.
Thank you so much. And we wish you the very best.
Before you go, though, please. I mean, we are just vessels. The people who made all of these things possible are listening to us. The businesses, the organizations, and the individuals. Some of them just walk away, walk in silently, sign their check, hand it over, and then they are gone. They would be glad to hear from you what you have to tell them.
Okay. What I have to tell all your donors and you, Citi, being the vehicle for this to happen, is what is in the scriptures. Today I want to behave like kind of Oriata shots fired. That I was hungry and you fed me. You gave me something to eat. I was thirsty. You gave me something to drink. I was struck by Akosombo dam spillage, and you came to my aid. So because you have done it to one of these little ones, you have done it to God. Right. And God will definitely recognize this effort by all of you out there who have come to our aid. Our people are grateful, and they remain eternally grateful.
Amen. It's offering time.
So I also want to say, on behalf of the good people of Afram Plains, say a very big thank you to Citi Group and our benevolent donors. We are really grateful. In fact, with regards to the Afram Plains, as I said, people see it as a usual thing. And so not a lot of people have really extended that support. But indeed, I would say that these are the group of people who really need this kind gesture. And so on behalf of my people, I want to say we are very, very grateful for the support. But as the usual saying goes, Oliver Twist,
don't worry,
let it keep coming. And then we'll also continue to pray and appreciate your businesses wherever you are. We are grateful to you.
Beautiful.
And since I'm on Citi, let me say that yesterday, the finance minister kind of exceeded my expectation in the amount of money he quoted that they have allocated for the initial relief for the victims. In fact, 220 million. I wasn't expecting that. But it is one thing allocating, and it is another releasing the funds and making sure that those who need it benefit from it. So we are going to follow through and make sure that it is not just a lip service, and that the amount of 220 million as the initial, as they call it, the relief phase. And we also want to hear more about the restoration phase that he has promised. Maybe because my first name is Thomas on this occasion, I'll have to say until I see it,
until you see, you won't
I won't believe it. So it is a welcoming news, but we want to hope and pray that they will follow through and that there will be concrete steps, just as Citi has started doing, to resettle the people who have been affected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you.